Well, this is Riaitea. Out there on the horizon is Huahine, and you can barely see the breakers on the reef, the fringing reef of the lagoon. Right now the wind's blowing a good 15 to 20 knots, so you see there's a lot of wind chop on the surface. That's a big, or a small, fancy local tourist cruising boat. And this is the harbor next to the town of Uturoa on Riaitea. It's on the north end near the airport. The big catamaran is from Dover, Delaware. And there's FeNIX sitting there. The boat behind it just came in, that's from Sydney. And that's the main part of town, and there's a number of stores and good shopping, good food, but expensive, as is all of French Polynesia. The quay there, or the waterfront, is free to tie up to. So I've been there for a couple of days. I'm getting ready to leave tomorrow to go to Raratonga. That's a fellow from somewhere on the west coast, Seattle, I believe. And the boat behind him is a charter boat that operates here out of French Polynesia. The bow you can just see there is a fellow from the west coast who's started out in Australia, wound up in Victoria, British Columbia. This catamaran here is available for day charters, I guess, and this is their assigned position. All in all, here we are Monday morning, August 14th. That's Riaitea's sister island, Taha. It shares the same lagoon. You can see the beautiful light green water over the submerged reef there. And that, folks, is Bora Bora. That's out to the west. You can see the line of the reef where it's above the water out there, just barely. And I'm scanning slowly through the southwest to the south. That's a little island. It's part of the fringing reef. That's the end of Riaitea. Basically, that's where I'm going. I'm about 1.25 miles away from the pass through the reef to go out into the ocean and head to Raratonga. So this is the northwest end of Riaitea. And over in here, there's a little cove. A couple boats are anchored. I'm pointing more into the sun now, but back over there where the sun's shining brightly on the water is a marina. And just to the south, around the coast of it, there's another little marina. You see there's a number of cruisers out there anchored. And we're back to Taha. So that's a panoramic scape. Right now I'm in about 100 feet of water, plus or minus 20 or so. Here we are, the first day out from Riaitea, headed to Raratonga. Been at sea about 24 hours or a little bit more. Pretty much set to make about a run of 150 miles. The wind's out of the southeast at 20 knots, gusting a little bit more. Sea's running, 6 feet. Maybe an 8-footer will sneak in here every once in a while. Beautiful day. We're sailing along quite well. I've got the main up with 2 reefs and the Genoa. And from time to time, with the gusts and the quartering seas, the boat rounds up a little bit. So that's why I've got this tackle rigged up here with the elastic on it to keep the boat from the self-steering gear from allowing too much lee helm, so the boat doesn't round up too far when it eases off. This is my I don't know how many experiment with the wind vane, but now I've got the horizontal axis wind vane cobbled together, and it's working very, very well, even under these rather trying conditions with a big quartering sea and pretty strong and gusty winds. As you can see, I've got a lee cloth rig there to help keep spray out of the cockpit. Got my sunshade up, and the Dodger But very pleasant sailing. It's here, FeNIX and I are just a little bit past the halfway point between Riaitea and Raratonga. It's Wednesday morning. The wind's still blowing. It's a very steady 20 knots, gusting up a little bit more, maybe 25 at times. I've had to take down the mainsail because we were going a little too fast and I didn't want to arrive very early on Friday morning in the darkness. So if the speed maintains as it is now, we'll arrive sometime after sunrise, should sight the island and be anchored down in Raratonga by noon or even earlier. Right now the waves are just starting to crest. You can see them. And every once in a while one of those crests will just start to break right up against the side of the hull and dump 15 or 20 gallons on the side deck, which of course goes everywhere right over the cabin top. But all things considered, it's a beautiful day. There are very few clouds scattered around the horizon. Nice bright sunshine. Clear blue sky, deep blue sea. I haven't seen much sea life out here, only a couple of flying fish every now and then. Not nearly as many as I saw farther north. You may be able to hear it. It's a little bit past noon on Saturday, August 19th. FeNIX and I have just completed a little bit over 3 days of back-to-back gales, lying hove to until 9 o'clock this morning, en route from Riaitea to Raratonga. The first system was a low centered about 650 miles to the south, and according to the weatherman in my area, the winds were 25 to 35 knots. Started out of the northeast and went through the north all the way around to the west. By about that time, that system had passed to be replaced by a high pressure system about the same distance to the south, and the wind continued to back around from the west through the southwest, and now it's back in the southeast again. It's not quite a trade wind, it's more the tail end of that high pressure system. When the convergence zone between the two systems passed over me, had a couple hours of torrential rain and about a half an hour of 50-knot winds. At the time I was under a double reefed mainsail, hove to, which I've been either that or the back staysail, hove to, for almost 3 days. Just kind of going in circles, letting the boat follow the wind around. Well, here it is, Sunday morning, August 20th, about 8:20 in the morning. Still in the tail end of that high pressure system. You can see the seas are running pretty good. That's coming up from the southeast. Still blowing a pretty steady 20 knots, maybe a little bit more. Fairly thick cloud cover. Swinging around over here through the south. And over there is Raratonga. That's my destination. Off to the right of the picture, you can see that little point of land sticking out, kind of to the north, I guess that would be. That's my destination. I'm heading out around that point. Beautiful dark lush green volcanic island, almost sitting out here in the middle of nowhere all by itself, although there is an accompanying island somewhat to the south, about the east-southeast, I don't know, 40 or 50 miles away. I'm hoping to get around there on the north side of that island and get into the lee of all these seas
which will be nice after the last 3.5 days of getting bounced around and up to 12 footers. Boat's headed up a little too much. I got to get back on the tiller here and get it back off the wind again.